So welcome everyone to our Carers Week 2025 webinar, all about encouraging you to better self-care. We're so excited to bring this through today. We're looking forward to exploring what is self-care power and how to master your calm. So before we kick off, just want to clarify that we are recording our presentation so that we can share it with those who didn't make it online at the time for the live today. So we'll stop the recording before the Q&A section at the end. And we'll also make this available to you, of course, as well, the recording, in case you would like to refer back to it at any point. I'm really delighted to be here with Dr. Scott and with Nicole, and also Riza, who's supporting us on the tech as well today. And she's been really helpful with getting this set up for us. So they'll introduce themselves too as we drop in further to the different sections. So I'll just flow through the agenda items. Today we've got the section on self-care power, which will go for about 40 minutes. And then we'll have a bio break and we'll come back for Master Your Calm. After that, there'll be 10 minutes of Q&A and we'll wrap it up on time, maybe even a touch early, so we can all get back to our day. So I'll jump into my first section to kick off the self-care power. My name's Amy Livingstone, as you might have seen from the information that went out. I'm the founder of Resilient One, which is a workplace wellbeing solutions provider, and we do provide services to community health, including NDIS and disability support. So today I wanted to share a couple of insights from my story, and also an inner ease tool, which I found very helpful in managing stress and anxiety, and also being able to ease through my day with more calm. So I'll leave you with some strategies on how we build personal resilience as well. So firstly, creating inner ease and how that helps us build personal resilience. So I want to share a little bit about recharging, and my personal story is a story of learning to recharge. I burnt out a number of times working in corporate in high pressure and demanding roles, and I contracted Lyme's disease on a trip to Cape York, where I was working with not-for-profit organisations supporting Aboriginal and Indigenous land groups with business enterprise. And so I really had a hard lesson around how important it is to recharge. So you can see the phone there in that photo, and I chose that because mine was constantly on red. I was running, pretty hard in life and in work, and I probably had my body, if you imagine your body as a phone, probably had it on like maybe 1% most of the time. I was really pushing myself, and I was probably more in the frustration bandwidth. If you look to the left there of heart rate, I was running probably harder than I needed to. And so I would get frustrated with myself around why I perhaps was tired all the time. In the end, what happened for me is that I got sick, I burnt out, and it was a very long journey because, as many of you might know, Lyme's disease is a condition that affects the neurology. It also affects the immune. And what it's left me with in terms of chronic pain and fibromyalgia has meant that I've really needed to focus on tools that support me to not only maintain my calm and to have better self-care power, but also to really restructure the way that I do life. So I wanted to share that with you as a point of reference, that we all have experiences in our lives that maybe remind us of the need and the importance to recharge, and how that supports our well-being. And I know Scott and Nicole will dive into that even more with you soon. So I'll just quickly mention the HeartMath Institute, which we work with and are accredited through to run their amazing scientific research-based trainings. They do a lot with heart rate and what we call entrainment of heart and brain. And what this does is enable us to recharge and move from that frustration bandwidth into an appreciation bandwidth. And we can see there, when we measure that medically through devices, where our heart rate sits when we're frustrated and where it sits when we are in a sense of appreciation or ease or calm, a positive renewing state of being. So one way to do this is to use a technique called inner ease. And I'm going to support us to try that out just really quickly right now before I leave us with some strategies. And for me, the reason why I dove into this was because my resilience had taken such a dive. I really had burnt all my reserves as well in getting so sick and pushing myself constantly with the demands of family, caring for my brothers, caring for my dad as well, who's been quite sick for a long time, and also just not looking after my own health. So when I did fall sick, it really hit me hard. It hit me hard for a whole decade. And creating inner ease and using these techniques throughout my day helped me recharge in the moment, helped me build back that reserve of resilience. So now, you know, if I do get impacts of issues in my life, challenges, or, you know, potentially crisis, I do know that I have a reserve that I can draw on, I can lean into. So you probably also experienced these phases in your life where you've also sustained stress and you've noticed that it's really worn down your inner battery, and you've thought, how can I recharge that inner battery so that I can, you know, continue on? And one of those tools will be rest, that I'll touch on in the second section of mastering our calm. But today, inner ease, if I just explain what that is, it's a highly regenerative state that helps us flow more easily through challenges and builds our resilience capacity. It's not a sleepy-headed state or merely a state of relaxation. It's a balance between mind and emotions that allows us to access a sense of inner stillness whilst on the move. And breathing really helps us to access this. It leverages the heart rate and in turn impacts the brain. So let's take a moment to try the technique of inner ease. And you can do this simply where you are. You don't need to close your eyes, even though the picture says that she's closing her eyes. You can do it while you're driving. You can do it while you're on the phone. We're going to focus awareness to the center of the chest, where the heart is. And just imagine your breath is flowing in and out of the heart center, the center of the chest, a little slower and deeper than usual. And as you do this, you might count to 5 as you breathe in, and you might count to 5 as you breathe out, if that helps you to lengthen the breath. As you settle into a rhythm that's comfortable for you, begin to draw in a sense of inner ease, or maybe it's balance for you today, balancing your mental and emotional energy, breathing in that sense of inner ease, balance of energy. And sometimes it can be a bit challenging to even imagine that inner ease is possible. So on those days, I tend to just simply breathe in a sense of neutral, just a sense of coming back into a place of stillness within my mind and my emotions. And finally, as you notice your biology shift, your neurobiology change, and you begin to sense a bit of stabilization in your mental and emotional energy, this is where we want to set a meaningful intent to anchor that sense of inner ease. So you might just simply anchor it somewhere within your mind or body where you can call on it as you flow through the rest of the day. Perfect. So simple, quick and easy technique, as I said, can be used anywhere, anytime. You don't need to set aside time to go and meditate to do this, although meditation is a fantastic tool that I've used constantly throughout my journey. I'm going to leave us with some strategies on how to build resilience now, and using something like an inner ease technique, or if you prefer mindfulness meditation techniques, you're obviously very welcome to use that. There's 3 strategies which I really learned to embrace as I healed and as I began to step onto a journey of self-care power and mastering my calm. And the first one is the anchor. So with the anchor, this is all about how we can really set up our day. And setting up our day means more than just, oh, yes, I'm going to have a great day today. It means having a ritual in the morning where you know that ritual can anchor you. So when you start the day, you own the day, then the rest of the day can flow with your intention. So that might be simply something like going for a morning walk. It might be for you sitting down and writing out your gratitude, what you're really thankful for every day. It might be doing a meditation practice, or it might simply be journaling, where you like to set out your goals, what you intend to achieve that day. Whatever that is for you, anchoring that, even if it's only 5 minutes in the morning, if you start the day owning the day, then that day is yours and you will have a pattern of choosing the outcomes of your day. Sustain is really about taking every chance you have to build that sense of resilience through mindful awareness, whether it's doing an inner ease technique as you're driving to drop off someone to a medical appointment, or driving to see a client, or driving to school to drop off the kids. Take those moments that you have to recharge and restore your energy, restore that resilience baseline. And for me, using something like the inner ease technique is fantastic because it helps me in the moment. I can do it wherever I am. I like to multitask, so that's perfect. And lastly, grow is about, even when we are in a great space, when we feel fantastic, if we haven't taken that opportunity to continue those practices in the good times, then we will notice it when we hit the challenging times. So I always keep to my rituals, even when I'm having a, month or a week where I feel fantastic. I don't put it aside, because I know that by investing in that baseline becomes stronger and my reserves are there when I really need them. And before I hand over to the wonderful Dr. Scott, I wanted to share with you an insight from Dr. Tara Swart. So she is an amazing neuroscientist who I believe is from the UK, and she does some fantastic research around the impacts of certain self-care tools like mindfulness meditation, and that includes techniques like inner ease and the heart math technology. She says people who regularly practice mindfulness and meditation actually change how their brain works. Her research has shown that people who meditate experience significant neuroplastic changes, not only within the brain, but also within their nervous system health. So I'll be speaking a little bit more to nervous system health in our second section around Master Your Calm. And I'm going to hand over to the amazing Dr. Scott. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks so much, Amy. If you could, yeah, that's it. Cool. So thanks very much, guys, for joining us today. So if you didn't already know, it's Carers Week. So I just wanted to thank Amy for that presentation. That was very good to calm my mind already. So I'm ready to do nothing. Actually, no, we're going to do a presentation now. So just bear with me a second while I share my screen so you guys can see that now. Okay, so welcome to the Self-Care Power. Master Your Calm. Kick this anxiety to the curb. And yeah, appreciate your time coming on. Thanks, Renee, for joining us today. And I thank the lovely ladies, Amy Livingston and Nicole Yates, for joining us as well. So, oh no, it's all about me. No, it isn't. It's all about you. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So over the last 20 years, I've acquired a certificate for training and assessment, a diploma in massage, a degree in acupuncture, and a master's degree in Chinese herbal medicine. Now, the acupuncture degree is where I learned about EFT, and this is the tool I'm going to teach you about in the coming lessons. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me. So what you're going to learn, so why do we get anxiety? What is the emotional freedom technique, EFT, and how to perform EFT for anxiety relief. So let's get into it. So in Chinese medicine, we see the emotions are controlled by our organs. So the organ related to anxiety is the heart. So what else happens when we get anxiety? Well, this is what I hear a lot. First of all, we normally get the old neck and shoulders get tight, the upper back, and it gets stiff as well. And your heart will start to pound and a feeling of overwhelm. So the too many minds, the monkey mind. And eventually, what will happen is you won't be able to sleep because that mind is racing too much. So what is that? What's that all about? So that's actually a natural mechanism of the brain and the heart. It's called a feedback loop, sending a message to you to say to slow down. The brain and heart are trying to slow your body down by reducing blood flow around the body. So how do we increase that blood flow around the body and decrease the feeling of overwhelm? It's a fantastic question. So I'm going to give you the tools to kick anxiety to the curb. I'm going to show you how to apply EFT to yourself, which is very important because you can do this to yourself, and increase that blood flow around the body. So I'm just going to talk about EFT first. So what is EFT, I hear you ask? So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So basically it's just tapping on Chinese medicine acupuncture points or acupressure, just that the pressure is very light and you just tap different points on your body, as you can see in the diagrams. So this tapping on certain points increases blood flow around your body, which in turn will help you to calm you down. So let's get into it. So how to perform EFT for anxiety relief. Oh, just follow me. So I'll just stop sharing. So you can just see me. So I'm going to start off. So at the top here, so it's called Dew 20. So we just tap on there very lightly and we say, even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then once you've said that, then you come down to the middle of the eyebrows here, in between the eyebrows. This is called yin tang. Then we tap there. And then you say, even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then you run your finger around your eye and go either way. I go to the same side that my hand is. And this is Tai Yang. And you say again, even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. Then you go to your nose, and then just underneath your nose, between your top lip and your nose, this is Dew 24. And say same again. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then just below your bottom lip and between your chin and your bottom lip, there's this little cave here, this little valley. Tap on that one, and it's called even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. So that's REN 22. Okay. And this point on the chest here. So you'll feel the sternum and then you'll feel your collarbone. And there's this little valley. You feel there's a little valley there. So just tap on that. And same again. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then go to the opposite side. So lift your other arm up and then go to the underneath the armpit. And this is heart 7. The same again. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then on the same arm, on the same hand, here on small intestine 4, it's called. Same again. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. Guess what? Now we're going to swap over. So on top, same again, Dew 20. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then go to the top of the eyebrows here, yin tang. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And I go to the same side, Tai Yang. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And you go to the underneath the nose here, in between the top lip and the nose, Dew 24. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then between the bottom lip and the chin, REN 22, even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then kidney 27, just below the collarbone, that big valley there. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then lift your arm underneath the armpit, heart 7. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And then go to the hand, just below, just above the crease of the wrist. It's on that knife edge at the base there. Small intestine 4. Even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. And there you go. Wasn't that easy? Wasn't that simple? Thank you very much, guys, for your time. I hope that I answered a few questions for you. As I said, Chinese medicine looks at things very, very differently to conventional medicine. And I'm going to talk about that more in the second interlude, second lesson. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and well, I already have. And I'm going to let the lovely Nicole Yates come on and kicks this anxiety to the curb.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scott. That was great. Yeah, and there's some real synergies between Amy's presentation, your presentation, and what I'm about to share with you. So I'm Nicole Yates from Get Brain Fit. I help people to improve their memory, their mood, their productivity, focus, and grit through looking after their brains and getting brain fit. And a part of that is getting your brain back into balance. So stress really does affect the brain. And you're going to learn about why it's so important to manage your stress and preserve your brain, because, you know, we want to be the best cognitively functioning people that we can be through our entire lives, ideally. So how stress actually affects the brain. Now, give me a why in the chat if you found that you become more forgetful under stress. Has that happened to you? You know, you get really stressed out and suddenly you're forgetting things. Yeah. It saps your energy too, doesn't it? You know, stress is a real energy sapper, and it makes focusing on specific tasks even more challenging. So, you know, yes to all of the above. So let's delve into what your brain is actually doing. And toward the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you some really quick and easy tips, super easy tips that you can do anywhere to stop that feeling of anxiety in its tracks. So the brain function around the stress response. So the brain actually releases a hormone called cortisol when we have too much stress. And when we have this cortisol in our system for too long, it actually causes inflammation in the body. And over long periods, that can actually damage the brain structures, particularly the hippocampus, which is really essential for learning and memory. And obviously, this is why stress can lead to memory problems, memory loss, and difficulty focusing. And the areas of the brain that the stress basically impacts your brain is the prefrontal cortex, which is your boss of the brain. It rules the party. So your prefrontal cortex actually controls your decision-making, your emotional regulation, and your self-control. This area of the brain really suffers under stress, and it can shrink in volume, making it even harder to solve problems, manage emotions. And brain shrinkage is actually the #1 indicator of Alzheimer's disease. And nobody wants that. So the other area of the brain that's impacted is the amygdala. Now, stress is actually a really good thing when it's in small doses, and it's used as it's supposed to be for, if we didn't have any level of anxiety whatsoever, we'd take crazy risks that would put our lives at risk. But the amygdala is responsible for that fear and emotional response, and it becomes more reactive with prolonged stress. So this basically causes feelings of anxiety and makes it more challenging to handle stress and negative emotions. I'm going to show you a picture now of an actual brain that's chronically stressed. So how do we change this? So the great thing about the brain, and with science and neuroscience and all the learnings over the years, once upon a time, doctors thought that we were stuck with the brain we've got once we reached adulthood, that, our brain's fully developed by about the age of 25, and they thought that was it. But now we know that the brain can change at any age. Now, this brain you see at the top with all the pretty yellow going through it, there's lots of lights on with this brain. The brain's working optimally. So yeah, this chronically stressed and depressed brain that you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, that's really struggling. So we want to be able to grow our brains. And through neuroscience, we know now that we can do this at any age. Any age, we can change our brain. So here are some little tips on how we can do that. Building brain reserves. Now, earlier, Amy spoke about reserves, about building your reserves. And this is important for the brain too. When we're born, we have a full supply of brain reserves. And brain reserves are like our backup system for the brain. They actually give your brain strength to handle the challenges, stress, or damage. It's like, having a backup for, emergencies, essentially, having extra money in your savings account for those emergencies. And brain reserves help you stay sharp, think clearly, and keep your brain working effectively, even when life gets tough. So we've got some cognitive reserves, and they're built by learning new things, staying mentally active, and challenging your brain. Helps you think better, solve problems, and stay focused when you're really under that stress. Your brain reserve, that's about your physical health and the health of your brain. So having a bigger, healthier brain through these things: good sleep, brain healthy food, exercise, challenging your brain, and managing stress, staying social, keeping up that social interaction. So when we get stressed, it can be easy to sort of fall into that isolation, but it's good for your brain to stay social. Now I want to share a couple of tips that you can use pretty much anywhere. So with this, the first one here is to find your power pose. When it really helps to sort of change that neurological pathway by getting into a power pose for about 30 seconds. It reduces the cortisol, that stress hormone I was talking about earlier, and increases feelings of confidence and calm. So, Amy, Scott, do you have a power pose? Yeah. So holding that power pose, no matter how ridiculous you feel, whether it's going like this or going like this or going like this, you can see the Wonder Woman pose in the picture. Holding that for about 30 seconds helps to reduce that cortisol in your body, increases testosterone, and boosts your mood. So go ahead and try that one next time you're feeling a bit stressed. The second tip is one that's not so embarrassing to do in public. And this is actually, it relates to the vagus nerve. So if you think of something, you can do it now. If you think of something that's made you really angry recently or really frustrated, just think of that thing that really puts the fire in your belly, it's really annoyed you. And then just place your tongue on the roof of your mouth. It's that simple. Just place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and that simple action can actually activate your vagus nerve, which helps to calm the nervous system just by stimulating that vagus nerve. And you shift your body from that state of fight or flight into a more relaxed parasympathetic state, reducing stress and anxiety rapidly. So there are two little tips that you can use. If you want to learn more about looking after your brain, you can scan that code there, the QR code, and download my free e-guide on peak performance for the brain. Get started optimizing your brain. And later on, I'm going to be talking to you about hypnotherapy to actually help manage anxiety and stress. And you'll get to sample a little bit of that too, if you choose. So that's all from me. I'm Nicole from Get Brain Fit, and I will pass it on to Amy again.
Thanks, Nicole. What a fantastic presentation. And I really enjoyed
Yeah.
Dr. Scott's as well. So big round of applause. We are going to jump into this second segment with some exciting secrets about rest. And following on from Nicole's amazing presentation with respect to the brain, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that too, as she also set us up beautifully around the nervous system through some of those amazing tips that she shared. And I just want to say Dr. Scott's section in our self-care power at the start, where he shared about the transformation technique of EFT, is so powerful and is an amazing tool to use when we are encountering days that really challenge our calm. And we know that we can access greater self-care power to support us to flow and to really kind of shift back into those positive states, because we know that positive states have such an impact on our well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically. So they are truly a self-care power. My name's Amy Livingstone. I run Resilient One, which is workplace wellbeing services provider to disability support and community services sectors, amongst others. And I'm just so excited to be here with Dr. Scott and Nicole today. And yeah, it's just great to have you with us. So I'll share my screen, but what I am going to dive into with you now, following the first section I shared about the ways we can build resilience and how that's important in recharging ourselves at a base level so that we've got the mental and emotional energy to really not only perform in the tasks and the caring roles that we have and the support that we give others, but also to ensure that we are looking after our own internal state and our own health and well-being as well. So I will share my screen now. Just give me a moment here. Awesome. So to come back to where I landed was around how we explored the techniques of building personal resilience and doing that through a tool called Inner Ease. And the Inner Ease is really about supporting our self-care through building and creating states of mental and emotional well-being. We can use this as a way to recharge and reset during the day when we encounter those challenging conversations or situations where we know that impacts our stress levels, maybe even our anxiety. So following on from that, I'm excited to dive into the secrets of rest. Nicole mentioned before that stress does affect the brain, and she gave us some great insights into how to manage the impacts of stress on the brain and also how to reduce our anxiety. So now we're going to dive into how does stress impact our nervous system, and perhaps some secrets around rest that help us regulate the nervous system to bring it back into a state of calm. Because really, when we talk about regulation, it's not about being in a state of calm all the time. It's the ability to come back into calm, to go into states of overwhelm when that happens, but also to come back into balance. So when I talk about the nervous system, I like to share just a little bit about what the nervous system actually is, because we refer to the nervous system often, but maybe not with a deeper understanding of what that actually looks like in the body. So in the body, we have two sides of our nervous system, which often people refer to as the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. But I actually want to talk to more of the anatomical representation, which is the central nervous system and then the periphery nervous system. So Nicole talked about the brain. And so the brain is part of the central nervous system. And that central nervous system around the brain also goes all the way down our spine, right to the tailbone. And this is the central nervous system because it is in the center of the brain and down the spine. It is literally in the center of the body. And it also is the primary communication system out to the organs and so forth. Now, when we talk about the periphery nervous system, that's all the other nerves that go out to little fingers, little toes, go through all the muscles of the legs, go through, you know, the back and the belly and the face. So this is all periphery nervous system. It's actually a lot larger than the central, but, you know, this is like the part of the nervous system that does the work. It sends information back to the brain so that the brain can process that and communicate through the central nervous system spinal cord and also vagal nerve, as Nicole mentioned, so that we then are in the state of either fight, flight, or we are in a state of balance and calm. And so it's important that our nervous system has the capacity to be in these states and then come back into neutral, come back into that sense of balance. This is important for our overall health and resilience, but it's also important to reverse the impacts of stress, to reverse those impacts of anxiety. So we played with the inner ease technique a little earlier, which is a tool for recharging our mental and emotional energy when we feel depleted. The inner ease technique also supports the nervous system because everything in the body is connected as a whole system. So the exciting thing about that is that what you've learned today, many of these tools are giving you more than just one benefit. So that's really, really cool. And when we use our breath as a tool to change our heart rate, so you might have remembered I had the frustration going to appreciation. And when we breathed in through the center of the chest, we were breathing in a sense of neutral, calm, inner ease or balance. When we use our breath to shift our heart rate, we also affect our brain state. And because the brain is the central nervous system, it sits in that whole system, it regulates the nervous system as well when we use a technique like that. So what does this really mean for us? It means that we can use other tools as well. And some of the tools we kind of forget about. And that's a simple tool of rest. Not sleep, where we're unconscious and our body's fully, you know, out and our mind's quiet and offline, if you like. But rest is a state where we are conscious, but we're not in an active state in our nervous system and in our brain waves. Now, what this looks like, I'm going to see if I can share my screen again. We'll give this a go. Are you going to play with me? Magic, magic, magic.
There we go, magic.
Yay! I'm so excited. So here you can see a little picture I've got of the brain and the spinal cord in pink. That's your central nervous system. And then the yellow is the peripheral nervous system, all through the nerves of the hands, feet, legs, arms, and the torso. So just so you've got a little reference there. And then here we're talking about the impact of rest versus sleep on the body. And you can see here, many of you might know this, the brainwave chart for humans, where we've got the gamma, where we're in heightened awareness. So as Nicole mentioned, when we're in that fight flight state, we're in gamma often. Then you've got beta, which is where most of us sit during the day because we're in problem solving. Okay, I've got a task, I've got to get here, I've got to get there, I've got to make my appointment on time, I've got to meet this client, I've got to solve their problem. So most of us are in beta. Some of us stay in gamma and like beta, switching around that constantly. If you're in a high pressure role where you're meeting crisis a lot, then you might be in gamma more of the day than not. But where the body regenerates and where we actually regulate our nervous system is when we come down into these states of alpha and theta, where we're in relaxation and reflection, or meditation and creativity. And then, of course, we're in delta, we're definitely asleep. So the reason I wanted to show you this is because there's techniques out there, including meditation and mindfulness, including some of the techniques that we've shared with you today, that help us into states of alpha and theta. When we are in states of rest, we're in states of alpha and theta. So there's 7 different states of rest that are available to us: social rest, spiritual rest, mental rest, emotional rest, physical rest. There's so many that are available. It's not just like, oh, I need to just stop doing something and not do anything at all, and that's resting. So yeah, explore those for yourself and see which one is most effective. That gives you the ability to stay in these alpha and theta states, which then supports the nervous system to regenerate, to calm, to come back into balance. And that overall supports the well-being of the body, the organs, and our overall functioning. So one tool that I like to share about is non-sleep deep rest. It's a fantastic technique that does reset the nervous system. It can be enjoyed very comfortably sitting or lying down. And you do need to not be driving or trying to multitask when you do this, unlike the inner ease, which is fine for those multitasks out there. This is where you want to set aside that, 10 to 40 minutes to deeply reset. Dr. Huberman of Stanford Medical School uses this technique a lot himself and recommends it to his patients and his clients. So I would love for us to try it now, but we probably don't have the time today. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat of a non-sleep deep rest session that I've recorded that you can then try in your own time. So that's all from me. I'm Amy from Resilient One. I'm handing back over to Dr. Scott. Thank you so much for listening and sharing these amazing insights with me.
Thanks, Amy. Much appreciated. Nice and relaxed again, obviously. And like I said before, I won't do nothing now. So back to back doing nothing. So I'm going to start sharing this screen for you. And I'll do my second slideshow for you. You can see that, guys?
Yep, perfect.
All right, so welcome back to the Self-Care Power, Master Your Calm, Kick That Anxiety to the Curb. Thanks to those, for those that have joined us today. Much appreciated for your time, Renee. And of course, the two lovely ladies, Amy and Nicole. So let's get into it. So what you're going to learn? So you're going to learn about the feedback loop. Remember I mentioned that in the first lesson. The second, I'm going to talk about the nervous system and the correlation with the heart. And obviously, we're going to do a little bit more EFT, but this is a bit more advanced. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about breathing with the EFT and slow down that monkey mind. So remember I talked about the feedback loop between the brain and the heart. In Chinese medicine, we call this the Shen. Might have heard that before. So the meaning is that the brain and your mind are one with the heart. So that's where this feedback loop comes into play. So now for the Shen to be one, heart and brain, there has to be a messenger. So what's that messenger? That messenger is your nervous system, which the brain is a part of. So when we are in a normal state of mind, the nervous system sends a message at a normal speed of around 60 feet per second. It's pretty fast, really, when you think about it. I don't think I could run 60 feet per second. So when there are too many messages, what do you think happens? That's right. You think too much. And the neurological system is overloaded. The neurological system will tell the heart we need more blood and oxygen because that's the function of the heart. The heart is to pump blood and oxygen around the body. So your heart speeds up and you'll hear your heart. This is called palpitation. So that boom, 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 boom. This is that feedback loop that I'm talking about. So that the neurological system now is starting to speed up. The heart rate's starting to speed up. And of course, as I'm saying, the nervous system is now running much faster. It's traveling double the speed of 120 feet per second. So speeding right up. Then you won't be able to sleep because you're monkey mind. And this is that feeling of overwhelm. This is where the heart and the neurological system are basically overexcited. And this is what's happens to you. You don't realize it because you're just so hyped up. You're so overwhelmed. You don't take much notice of it. Now, to reset that feedback loop and slow down your Shen, the brain and the heart, we'll do this EFT again. But this time, we're going to do it with some breathing techniques. Okay? So I'll just stop sharing my screen. And now we'll do it again. So this time, instead of, if you want to, you can say to yourself, in your own mind, even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. But I'm just for this exercise, I'm not going to bother with that because it's too hard. It's too hard for me to say that and also breathe at the same time. So we're going to start again, the top here. So this time you breathe in. So when you breathe in, now you hold your pelvic floor. Now your pelvic floor is between your genitals and your anus. Now pull that muscle up towards the top vertex. Okay? So pull it up and then breathe, and pull it up now and then breathe out. And now go to the yin tang, so they're on the front here. So just tapping very lightly. And deep breath in. Hold your pelvic floor up. And now breathe out. Go to the side here of the eye, Tai Yang. Deep breath. Hold your pelvic floor and breathe out. Go to G24 underneath the nose. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Breathe out. Go to Ren 22, just below the lips here. Tapping again. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor and breathe out. Go to kidney 26. So just below the collarbone, right beside the sternum. You'll feel that valley. Just tap on there. And again, deep breath in. Hold the pelvic floor and breathe out. Now release the pelvic floor. I forgot to say that. Then go to the underneath the arm. This is heart 7. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor and deep breath out. And release the pelvic floor. Then go to your wrist again. So just above the wrist line. Tap there, small intestine 4. And deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. And then deep breath out. And release the pelvic floor. And swap hands. So left hand, top of the head, G20 again. And deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Breathe out. And then go to yin tang, top of the eyebrows, the middle, top of the bridge of the nose. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Deep breath out. Release that pelvic floor. Go to Tai Yang, the side of the eye here, where that valley is. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Deep breath out. Underneath the nose, G24. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Deep breath out. Ren 22. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Deep breath out. Kidney 26. Just below the clavicle, below the collarbone. Deep breath in. Hold the pelvic floor. Deep breath out. Don't forget to release the pelvic floor. Keep forgetting that. Go to heart 7 underneath the armpit. Deep breath in. Hold the pelvic floor. Deep breath out. Release that pelvic floor. Small intestine 4 on the knife hand, the ridge here on the hand, at the base towards the wrist. Deep breath in. Hold that pelvic floor. Deep breath out. So when you practice it more, then you can also introduce that, as I said, even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself, and you can say it to yourself quietly. But then also to hold that pelvic floor. If you found it difficult to hold the pelvic floor, it's okay. As I said, just think of that muscle that's in between, in that I call it the no man's land. So it's between the genitals and the anus. Just pull that up towards the top of the vertex, top of the head. Pull it up, and then, yeah. The reason why you don't hold it up while you breathe in is because then it puts pressure on the lower abdomen. So when your abdomen expands, that actually puts more pressure on the lower extremities. So that's why we hold the pelvic floor and then breathe out. Okay, so you push the air down, then hold, then you push the pelvic floor up. You're actually massaging the small intestine. That's what you're doing. When you get really good at it, you can start to massage the other organs as well. And then when you release the air, then that takes the release off the lower extremities and off the small intestine. Hope you got something out of that, guys. And as I said, when you get really good, then you can start to say that even though I have this anxiety, I totally love and accept myself. Because that's what it's all about. Positive language to yourself. Thanks very much, guys. It's over to the wonderful Nicole to put us completely to sleep.
Thanks so much, Dr. Scott. Yeah, EFT is a really powerful resource to have at your disposal. You can use it anywhere, anytime. And yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. Great. Now, with the brain, the poor old brain gets missed in a lot of things. Now, I love working with the brain because you can create so much transformation when you focus on your brain. There are 16 different types of brain. There are 7 different types of ADHD. There's multiple types of anxiety and depression. Actually knowing what's going on in your brain gives you extra tools to make changes to the structure of your brain to help you change things, change how you feel, change the way you're behaving. It is such a powerful thing. And that's where my point of difference is. I actually assess people's brain, assess the structure of their brain through questionnaires to determine which areas of your brain are actually struggling. And just a short story about how this can make a difference. I had a lady I was working with had ADHD and major depression and anxiety. She was seeing a psychologist and a psychiatrist, but hadn't been able to work for a couple of years by the time I saw her. But no one had looked at her brain. I did my assessments on her brain and determined that the antidepressants she was on were actually slowing the boss of her brain, the frontal lobe, where she was struggling anyway because of the ADHD. It was slowing it down further, and she was like a mouse on a wheel. Now, that information about actually looking at her brain gave us some extra information to be able to share with her psychiatrist, and he changed her medication to a more stimulating antidepressant. And that helped her to get back to life, to get back to work, to make progress. And that's just one example of how looking at the brain can make such a difference, whether you have depression, anxiety, you've had a brain injury, you're struggling with productivity, you've got ADHD, any issues in the brain. We need to look at the brain and see what's going on to make sure that the interventions that we're choosing for you are right and are going to help you make the most progress. Now, one of the tools in my toolbox that I use is hypnotherapy. And I've got so many examples of how this modality, which is really good for people who don't like talk therapy, not everyone likes to share their struggles. So they tend to be people that just want to make changes, but not through talk therapy. Hypnotherapy is great for people that they're wanting to tap into that subconscious mind and take the pressure off your conscious mind. When you're in a caring position, your conscious mind has enough to deal with. Change can be overwhelming. Making changes for your betterment, for your health, can actually become a little bit overwhelming. So hypnotherapy can help there. And, I know this personally from my own experience of having a severe traumatic brain injury, died 3 times, coma 3 weeks, prognosis, expect death or life in the vegetative state. Hypnotherapy and meditation were a big part of my healing journey to change my own brain. So I truly believe in this modality. It can be a huge, huge change factor. So we're going to go into a little bit about what hypnotherapy is. And for those of you who have never tried hypnotherapy, towards the end of this, we'll have a little play with that, and you can get to experience what hypnotherapy is. And ultimately, it's just a trance state. So give me a why in the chat if you've ever had hypnotherapy. Just tell me if you have had any hypnotherapy at all. Yeah, both of you have, right? And look, it's one of those things, like it can get a bad name with the commercial hypnotherapy where people think that you're going to make them cluck like a chicken or things like that. But that's just a very commercial type of hypnotherapy. You are actually in full control of your mind when you're in a hypnotherapy state. And an example of that is actually when I was training in hypnotherapy, doing my master's in hypnotherapy. And the lady in front of me, we were trying to get her body into catalepsy, which is where you might have seen this on stage shows occasionally, where your body goes rigid and you fall back and someone catches you. Now, when this lady in front of me in our training fell back, her head hit a chair, and that instilled fear in my mind. I've already had a brain injury. I don't want another one. So when it was my turn to get into that catalepsy, they could not hypnotize me into that rigid state because my beliefs were that it could harm me. So hypnotherapy cannot change your beliefs. So you are always in control. But what it is, it basically induces a state of deep relaxation, allowing the conscious mind to take a back seat and the subconscious mind to be more accessible. Like when you remember when you first started driving a car, it was really difficult. Where are the indicators? Which gears? Maybe you had a manual. And you had to think a lot. But now, after many years of driving, you get into a car, you don't even think about it because your subconscious mind has taken over that operation. Okay. So that's what hypnotherapy does. It helps you to access your subconscious mind a little bit more to make things easier for change. Hypnotherapy can really help individuals overcome habits, fears, limitations by reprogramming the conscious mind and promoting new, healthier behaviors. In that state of hypnotherapy, you can explore and address issues or goals that may be rooted in the subconscious mind, and it can lead to more positive behaviors and deep relaxation, trance-like state. Yesterday, I did a hypnotherapy session on a lady with ADHD, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's the best rest I've ever had." It's really gentle and a really powerful tool. Some of the benefits of hypnotherapy: it improves sleep, emotional regulation. It can help with behavior change if you need to stop smoking, stop eating so much sugar, because sugar shrinks your brain. It can help you reset and refocus, increase feelings of control and empowerment, and really inducing that state of deep relaxation. It's a beautiful experience. So we start off by getting your body into this state of relaxation to the point where, there's a thing called the critical faculty between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And that's kind of your logic area, that gatekeeper that can stop information flowing through the conscious subconscious mind. So what hypnotherapy does is it sort of softens that critical faculty so the information can get more easily into the subconscious mind to embed more positive behaviors, positive suggestions. That's what we're doing. We're planting positive, anchoring positive suggestions in your subconscious mind. So who is up for a little bit of hypnotherapy? Just a gentle kind of intro to hypnotherapy. If you're up for it, and you don't have to, you can watch, but if you're at home and you're watching this recording, Maybe play some nice soft music in the background when I'm actually doing hypnotherapy with someone, going back to the brain waves that Amy was talking about. Depending on what a client's wanting to get out of the hypnotherapy, I'll choose a certain music that stimulates the brain waves that we want to. So if someone's coming to me for anxiety, they may have had anxiety for a long time, I'll choose more theta beats, theta brainwave beats, to help stimulate that theta process, which is a healing kind of brainwave. If you're someone who's wanting a more, to more do something, increase your focus and lessen your procrastination, I might choose a more stimulating sort of brainwave. So brainwave music. So first of all, just get yourself into a nice, comfy position. Wherever you are, get into a nice, comfy position. And just take a nice, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a few seconds and out through your mouth. Just do that a few more times. And I want you to hold your hands out in front of you like this. So keep your eyes closed and keep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, inducing a state of relaxation. You're wanting to get into a nice, relaxed state. Doesn't matter if things come into your mind as you're sitting there breathing with your hands out. Just focus on your breathing. It's all right. And get into a nice, relaxed state. Now I want you to imagine using your creative mind. In your left hand, you've got a bunch of helium balloons tied to your hand. And that left hand is feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And in your right hand, you've got a big, thick, heavy dictionary. Just keep breathing in and out, in and out, nice and slowly, feeling the balloons in your left hand and the dictionary in your right hand. Now the balloons feel so light. That left hand just feels so light, and it's going up and up. The balloons are wanting to go towards the sky as you're relaxing in this beautiful, relaxed state. And in your right hand, the dictionary, it's getting heavier. You've been holding it in your right hand for so long now. It's feeling heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. With your left hand's lighter and lighter and lighter, and your right hand's heavier and heavier and heavier. Now I'm going to count to 5, and on the count of 5, you'll awaken your eyes, feeling nice and refreshed and motivated and awake. 5, feeling its nice, deep state of relaxation. 4, on the count of 1, you're going to feel more and more awake. 3, integrating all of that you've heard today in this wonderful webinar into your subconscious mind. 2, feeling more and more awake, coming back into the room. 1, eyes awake, feeling refreshed. So that's all hypnotherapy is, but it goes for anywhere from half an hour to an hour. Okay, so you'd be in that nice, deep state of relaxation, having positive integrations made into that subconscious mind, whether it be reducing anxiety, reducing your body's reaction to anxiety and stress, improving your memory and focus, reducing weight, giving up smoking. A hypnotherapy can basically be used for pretty much anything. So if you didn't get that Optimize Your Brain guide before in the first section, please go just scan that code and download the How to Optimize Your Brain for Peak Performance guide. My contact details are also in that guide if you want to reach out and ask any more information about how to optimize your brain, how to improve your memory, focus, productivity, grit, reduce anxiety, and maintain your brain into the future. As I said before, brain shrinkage is the #1 indicator of Alzheimer's disease, and increasing your blood flow to the brain, as Scott was talking about earlier. Blood flow is so important to get that blood flow to the brain. All those tips we talked about: sleep, the right diet, exercise, challenging your brain, staying social, staying connected with people, all so important. So reach out if you've got any questions, and I'll hand it back to Amy. We go.
Yay.
Amazing. Thank you, Nicole. That was such an awesome session. And I loved the little activity at the end where you guided us through that hypnotherapy set. And I just also thank Scott too for expanding on the EFT with the breath. And yeah, what a magical combination. I think it's really powerful. And certainly everyone who has been interacting with this today and will watch the replay have some amazing tools in their kit bag now for self-care power and to master the calm daily. So I'll just make a quick note that I've shared the non-sleep deep rest session in the chat. So we'll also send that link out with the replay, and also Nicole's link as well. For those online, if you want to reach out to me about non-sleep deep rest, building resilience, any of those amazing tools, please feel free to do so. My details are in the chat as well. And I know Scott, you can find him on social media. He loves talking on the lives to everyone on LinkedIn and Facebook. So yeah, jump on. He definitely shares some amazing content about health, and he's got his Healthy Habits Club that you can certainly reach out and ask for information about, which supports you to develop those healthy habits every day. And I think we are actually finishing on time, which is so exciting. We gave ourselves a bit more space because we thought, oh, we're all talkers and we'll end up, you know, running over. So yes, glad to give you some time back in your day. And we will be doing these type of webinar again. So keep your eyes peeled. There'll be some hot news, and next year there'll be an in-person event. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I might hand it to Scott to close this out. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, ladies. So I'm gonna put this on all my social media platforms, but also we'll share it on both Amy and Nicole's platforms as well. You'll have the recording. You can download it or watch it live, whichever you want to do. We'll put our details in there too. Obviously, Amy's details and also Nicole's, and of course mine as well. Check them out. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. That was very relaxing, actually. I feel pretty calm myself. So I just want to go to sleep now. So I got some treatments to do before that happens. So thank you so much, ladies, for your time and for your effort. And yeah, thanks for the gold nuggets today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed everything and can take away some tools to use in their everyday life. And if you know a carer out there, feel free to share this with them, because we need to look after our carers.
100%.
Yeah, that's a good point, Nicole. That's the reason why we did this, because it is Carers Week, and I've been asking carers all week, do you know that it's Carers Week? And they have no idea. So hopefully
share it out a bit more in the network, which would be amazing.